Beatrice had been in the deepest hole a person could dig for 2 years. She didn't know that in 6 months she would discover that even those sinking in mud can still touch the sky. This is the true story of a woman who destroyed everything with her own hands, but discovered that God's mercy reaches even the lowest places. And if you feel like you've sunk so deep there's no way back, this story will prove it's never too late to start over. Before telling Beatrice's story, I need to warn you, this story will hurt your heart, but it will heal your soul. Beatrice, 32 years old, had once been the pride of her family. She had a degree in administration, was married for 8 years, had 2 small children, owned her home, and had an organized life. Everyone saw her as an example of a hard-working woman. But behind the perfect facade, Beatrice hid a black hole that grew every day. It all started when her husband began traveling for work. Beatrice was left alone with the children, with no help, no rest. Exhaustion turned into anxiety. Anxiety turned into depression. And depression found an outlet. A glass of wine to relax after the children went to sleep. 1 glass became 2. 2 became a bottle. In 6 months, Beatrice was drinking every day. In a year, she was drinking during the day too. It's just to cope, she lied to herself. But addiction is a liar that promises freedom and delivers prison. Beatrice started missing work. She forgot to pick up the children from school. She yelled at the kids for any reason. Her husband noticed and tried to talk. Bea, you're drinking too much. You need help. Don't be ridiculous, she shouted. I have everything under control. But she had nothing under control. In 2 years, Beatrice was fired for excessive absences. Her husband discovered she was drinking in secret and asked for a divorce. I can't leave the children around you like this, he said, taking the kids away. Beatrice lost her job, marriage, children, and house in 6 months. At 32, she was living in a small, dirty apartment, surviving on odd jobs she could do between drinks. She drank from when she woke up until she passed out in bed, or on the floor. It didn't matter. One night, Beatrice was on the kitchen floor, surrounded by empty bottles, when she looked in the mirror that had fallen from the wall. What she saw shocked her. A woman with dirty hair, red eyes, stained clothes. Who is this person? She thought. What have I become? In the early hours, Beatrice tried calling her children, but her ex-husband didn't answer. She tried calling her mother, but the number had been blocked. She tried calling friends, but they had all distanced themselves months ago. She was completely alone. God, she cried on the cold floor, I ruined everything. I lost my children. I lost my family. I lost who I was. If you still care about me, help me. I can't get out of this hole alone. Beatrice fell asleep right there on the kitchen floor. When she woke up, it was 10 a.m. and someone was knocking insistently at the door. It was Donna Carmen, the elderly neighbor she had always ignored. Child, are you okay? I heard you crying in the early hours. Beatrice opened the door in shame. Donna Carmen saw her condition and asked no questions. She simply said, I'm going to make coffee for both of us. Donna Carmen entered, cleaned the kitchen, made coffee, and sat with Beatrice. Child, I've also been where you are. I lost my first husband to drink. I know what this hole is like. Donna Carmen, you don't understand. I lost my children. They're ashamed of me. Child, children aren't ashamed of their mother. Children are afraid of losing their mother. Your boys need their mother back, not the drink. That day, Donna Carmen stayed with Beatrice all day. She threw away all the bottles, made food, and most importantly, listened to Beatrice cry without judging. Donna Carmen, how do I get out of this? Child, one day at a time, and not alone. There will be people helping you, starting with me. In the following days, Donna Carmen showed up every day, sometimes with food, sometimes just to talk. She took Beatrice to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting at the church. On the first day, Beatrice couldn't speak. She just listened to other people telling stories similar to hers. People who had lost everything but were rebuilding themselves. After 30 days without drinking, Beatrice called her ex-husband. Carlos, can I talk to the children? Beatrice, are you okay? I'm trying to be. Can I speak with them? When she heard her children's voices after months, Beatrice cried like never before. Mom, when are you coming home? Asked her 6-year-old daughter. Soon, my love. Mommy is learning to be strong again. It took 8 months for Beatrice to get supervised visits with her children, 1 year to get a stable job, 2 years to rebuild her family's trust. Today, 3 years later, Beatrice didn't get back together with her ex-husband, but she got shared custody of the children. She works as a chemical dependency counselor and helps other women who are in the same hole where she was. She always says, "I dug the deepest well I could. I thought I was going to die buried in my own mud. But I discovered that no matter how deep you are, if you cry out, God bends down to hear you. And he sends people to throw you the rope." Beatrice's story reminds me of something King David wrote 3,000 years ago. David had also dug his own pit of destruction. Adultery, murder, lies, guilt. And from the bottom of the hole he had dug himself, David cried out, "I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. He put a new song in my mouth." Psalm 40 verses 1 to 3. David understood something that Beatrice discovered. It doesn't matter how deep you dug your own pit, God can still pull you out of there. He bends down to hear even the weakest whisper of those sinking in their own mud. Today, as you listen to me, maybe you're in your own quagmire. Addictions that promised freedom but brought prison. Choices that seemed right but led you to the hole. Destroyed relationships. Lost trust. Shame that seems eternal. Maybe you think you've dug too deep, hurt too many people, are too far from any possibility of forgiveness. But I want you to understand something that Beatrice discovered on that kitchen floor. No matter how deep the pit you dug, God's hand can still reach you. He hasn't given up on you. He's waiting for you to cry out for help. Wait patiently. Don't give up. Cry out from where you are. God bends down to hear even the most desperate scream of those who need rescue. And when he pulls you out of the mud, your feet will step on solid ground, and a new song will be born in your mouth. And if you're in the quagmire now, subscribe to the channel and share with someone who needs to know that there's an outstretched hand waiting to pull them out of the pit. Sometimes a person just needs to remember that no hole is too deep for God's love. Until the next video, remember, God hears the cry of those at the bottom of the pit. He bends down for you. Raise your hand and cry out. Rescue is on the way. Leave in the comments. From what pit has God already pulled you out or is pulling you out now? Let's remind each other that from the rottenest mud can bloom the most beautiful flower.